This segment is all about Pride Month. I'm sharing my love for LGBTQ board gamers and folks in the industry. Pride Month 2022 is a special time, and I want to share some research about board gaming and being LGBTQ+. This is Schooled by Gru, an exclusive series for Our Family Plays Games Voices, where I do a deep dive into my PhD dissertation research and share with you the findings before the rest of the world sees it, exclusively on Our Family Plays Games. I'm incredibly blessed to have members of my family, friends, and neighbors who are LGBTQ+. They make my life wonderful. I'm so proud of them, and Pride Month is a time to celebrate the great contributions of LGBTQ+ in history, in industries, and in our communities. I couldn't love my LGBTQ+ family more, and I'm so proud of them every single month, not just June. This section is all about the research I've conducted for my PhD research that touches on experiences of LGBTQ+ people engaging in the board gaming hobby. I was incredibly lucky to get the perspectives of 320 participants to my PhD research. I got a wonderful mix of gender representation, including non-binary, trans women, trans men, gender fluid individuals, agender, gender non-conforming, etc. And I was really lucky to get that kind of diversity of perspective. I recruited very intentionally for diversity because I wanted to hear from board gamers that don't often participate in other surveys I've encountered. The other wonderful thing about the online survey is I had terrific representation and participation from LGBTQ+ gamers who were really invested both in the hobby and in the industry, and they represented just over half of my sample. One of the questions that I posed to participants of the survey is whether or not they were treated differently because of their sexual orientation when they were participating in the board gaming hobby. And the answers I got back confirmed that there were serious issues in board gaming spaces around homophobia and transphobia. 31.3% of participants agreed or strongly agreed with the statement, "I have experienced homophobic remarks while participating in the board gaming hobby." This was a very serious finding. That homophobic remarks, transphobic remarks are part of board gaming table talk and trash talk is a huge concern for the growth of the entire industry and certainly the development and flourishing of the hobby. I posed direct questions like discrimination and being treated differently according to sexual orientation and got comments like this one. In response to not being discriminated against, the individual here said, "Not overtly. I don't feel represented in games and I feel like I have to hide my orientation." That was a really emergent theme in a lot of the written comments, that individuals felt like they had to hide themselves in order to safely participate in the board gaming hobby. There were comments like this one, "I feel that I would be treated differently if I expressed my orientation. Instead, I choose to remain silent because I have the privilege to do so because I present as straight." I got comments like this one, "I'm assumed to be a heterosexual male, so I do not feel that I'm treated differently. I do not usually out myself in public gaming spaces." I have to admit, these comments broke my heart. To not be able to be your authentic self in play spaces really bothers me as a researcher and as an industry watcher. This is a huge issue for the entire industry. If folks feel like they have to hide away their authenticity in play spaces to engage with a hobby that they love, that's a problem. That's a delimiting problem for the sector, for the industry, and for the hobby itself. As a PhD researcher, I was motivated to do this research because I had studied long and hard the fact that we as a society don't have many places where we're psychologically safe. My initial research journey started with workplaces and how workplaces were very toxic environments for people. I realized there was an immediate pivot into play spaces. And I started to really think about, where can we be ourselves? Where are we safe? And I recognized some of the same patterns and issues that I saw in my workplace research happening in gaming spaces. And that to me sounded an alarm. We need spaces in our worlds where we are safe, where we can kick back, have a respite from our grueling lives, and be our authentic selves. Unfortunately, based on my research, board gaming spaces have a lot of work to do to make people feel welcome. And here's a quote from a Canadian I'm very proud of, David Gator, who is the narrative designer and writer for games like Baldur's Gate, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, the entire Dragon Age franchise, worked at BioWare. I admire him a great deal. He's openly gay, and he talked about the importance of narrative and being seen and represented in the games we love. He says, "I believe there's an element where having a game acknowledge that you exist can be validating in a way most people never consider, no doubt because they have no need for validation, and thus no knowledge as what the lack of it can do to someone." It is so important that representation happens in board gaming, that the embrace of individuals who are LGBTQ+ happen in spaces, in the games themselves. It is incredibly important to human flourishing that we see ourselves represented in the things we love, in the media we consume. So on this Pride Month, I want to thank you for listening, and a lot of love to my LGBTQ+ friends and family. I love you so. This has been my 6th episode of our Family Plays Games Voices. This is a huge privilege and honor to be part of this channel and share my PhD dissertation research with you. We have so much work to do to make board gaming the hobby and industry we all know it can be. Thank you so much, and happy Pride Month to everyone.